Hey everybody, it's Kendall from the Recording Lounge podcast, and today I'm doing a video about de-essing and the various ways that we can use de-essers to our advantage. Now, why would we want to de-ess in the first place? Well, first of all, some people find S's and T's and those sort of harsh syllables a little bit annoying, which is totally understandable. They're up in a frequency range that can be pretty annoying. Another thing, though, is that it allows us to turn the vocal up a little bit louder without sounding harsh. Sometimes people will try to turn up a vocal to get it really prominent in a mix, and they'll feel like, no, it's too loud. But really what they're hearing is a harshness, or it's really sort of catching their ear in a funny way. So I'm going to show you some of these different techniques that we'll use for de-essing. First of all, I'm going to turn off the plugins and just let you hear the vocal with acoustic guitar.
You pull up in a beat-up car, and one look at you could stop in my heart. You flash a smile, I climb on in, both windows roll down, hands in the wind. But the months are coming when the leaves change color. We'll fall in love as the days grow shorter, and nothing hurts like...
Okay, so there's quite a bit of S's and T's in some of these syllables like this. It's pretty common on female singers, and it is common on male singers. It just depends on who it is and how strong they enunciate their S's and T's and whatnot. And sometimes over-enunciating those a little bit while recording can help make sure the words sound clear. But then the problem is when you're in the mix, it's a little bit too harsh. So let's talk about a couple different ways we can handle this. So first things first, let's talk about the difference between a wideband and a splitband de-esser. Basically, a wideband de-esser is going to affect the entire vocal. It's going to compress the entire vocal, but it's going to be triggered only by a certain frequency range. Whereas a splitband compressor, a splitband de-esser, will only compress in that range. To demonstrate that, I'm going to use FabFilter Pro in B. So a splitband de-esser would look like this. It's a compressor that is only compressing in this frequency range. That's key to keep in mind, that a de-esser is really just a frequency-dependent compressor. It's not really anything more than that. So this would be a splitband compressor. But if we were to make this a wideband, and then go into our sidechain mode and do free, what this does is this band here is selecting essentially the point that is triggering the compressor. And so this is an example of wideband de-essing, putting this frequency up here in these SE frequency areas in the high mids and highs. So that's just to demonstrate what the difference is there. Now I'm going to show you the use of Pro de-ess from FabFilter. It's a great de-esser to take down the S's.
You pull up in a beat-up car, and one look at you could stop in my heart.
And I can set the frequency range where it's most sensitive, where her particular voice is the most S'y, which is great because everyone's voice is different.
You pull up in a beat-up car, and one look at you could stop in my...
Okay, so right around here it looks pretty strong. So I'm going to do this. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so now I'm going to adjust these parameters while listening and compare splitband and wideband and see if one of them sounds better.
You pull up in a beat-up car, and a look at you could stop in my heart. You flash a smile, I climb on in, both windows roll down.
Now, one advantage of the splitband, sometimes the wideband can sound a little bit more natural, but one advantage of the splitband is that, for example, let's say this is my splitband. All the air and breathiness that's up here is untouched, or at least mostly untouched. Depending on how wide the Q is of that filter. But that's what can be really nice about doing splitband, is when you start to get really high in the range, it can be a little bit more natural sounding in some cases. But like I said, you just got to experiment. I like it better on the splitband on this one.
You pull up in a beat-up car, and one look at you could stop in my heart. You flash a smile, I climb on in.
Okay, so now later in the song, there's a little bit of there's a pre-chorus here.
But months are coming when the leaves change color.
And there's some nasaliness in her voice that I want to just minimize a little bit. And so to do that, I'm going to use a different de-esser. I'm going to use the Waves de-esser. Great, simple de-esser that works really well. So for this, I'm actually going to use the split band in a bell shape, not a shelf, and I'm going to center the frequency on something that is a little bit more nasally. It's not really an S, but it's going to be a little bit more of those edgy frequencies, again, to allow us to turn the vocal up a little bit louder. There we go. So it's this sort of nasally frequency. Everyone seems to have their own, again, every singer's different. So you can use the de-esser in split mode with the bell at a lower frequency, which helps you keep the vocal loud without sounding harsh. So let's do this.
Are coming when the leaves change color. We'll fall in love as the days go shorter.
And when she's singing lower, this isn't really affecting it much.
Up in a beat-up car, and one look at you could stop in my heart. You flash a smile, I glamour.
So on something like this, on this loud syllable here, you can see without. You hear that difference? I'll play it a little bit back.
You flash a smile, I glamour. You flash a smile, I glamour.
See, it smooths that out in a nice way that's still very natural. Now there's still a little bit residual, and I'm going to try doing another de-esser in wideband up top here.
You flash a
Now, because I'm in wideband, I want to be careful because I want to make sure that because it's going to be compressing the entire vocal, I only want to hear, when I'm auditioning, I only want to hear S's as close as possible. And it doesn't always need a lot. Just a dB or two, in a couple different stages can help.
You flash a smile, I glamour in both windows rolled down.
Okay, so now let's hear it with and without all the de-essers.
You pull up in a beat-up car, and one look at you could stop in my heart. You flash a smile, I glamour in both windows rolled down. Hands in the wind. You could stop in my heart. You flash a smile, I glamour in both. You could stop in my heart. You flash a smile. You could stop in my heart. You flash a smile, I glamour in.
Notice how much smoother the vocal sounds overall. We'll go over here and hear that again. This is without.
But the months are coming when the leaves change color. We'll fall in love as the days go shorter. But the months are coming when the leaves change color. We'll fall in love as the days go shorter.
Much, much better, all right? So this is great because it allows you to keep your vocal loud, and so I could probably turn this vocal up a little bit now because I feel like those are a little more controlled. They're not popping out at me as much. And of course, you can tweak these to your heart's content. If this feels like it's a little too strong, you can back it off a little bit. It really doesn't need a lot, but what's interesting is you can use it in different stages to affect different parts of the vocal. The nasally parts, the more sh parts, the essy parts, or the really high frequency like those parts. You can adjust different de-essers to handle different parts rather than trying to do it all with one, because sometimes doing it all with ones can sound a little unnatural. So don't be afraid of using multiple de-essers. One more note that I'll say is that I typically will de-ess before I compress because I don't want the compressor, the actual, when I use like a normal compressor on the vocal, I don't want that to be triggered falsely by a really strong S like this. I want to be able to just trigger it mainly on, more of this stuff, right? Not these bright peaks that pop out. So this is a great way of controlling some of those vocal syllables and things like that, these really peaky sibilance type things. So I hope this has helped you with de-essing and helped you understand some various ways we can do it. As always, check out the Recording Lounge podcast on iTunes or your favorite podcast player or website. Check out the blog, recordinglounge.blogspot.com, the Facebook page, facebook.com/recordinglounge. And if you have any questions, comments, send me an email at recordingloungepodcast@gmail.com. Thanks.